Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Now Google Dictionary defines sentimental value as the value of an object deriving from personal or emotional associations rather than material worth. This might apply to a piece of jewellery that's been in your family for generations or a framed photograph on your wall. For me, it's this. Over the last 10 years, this Toshiba C660D has been the driving force behind my final school years, the backbone of my first business venture, and the machine that kick-started my whole YouTube career. While similar in looks to another Toshiba we've reviewed before, my sister's coffee-infused Intel version that's almost a family heirloom in itself at this point, this all AMD-based system was the OG, the PC that brought us into the world of portable computing, and away from the confines of the much-admired yet quickly dying Pentium 4 desktop we had in the spare room. Late last year, it was decided that the trusty Toshiba, still used by my grandparents, was going to be retired, and on Christmas Day it met its replacement. Just in time too, as the now sluggish beast was also informing me of an imminent hard drive failure. So, before I replace it with an SSD, restore it to its original factory settings, and probably put it back in the drawer where it will likely spend the rest of its and maybe even my life, I wanted to see just what it's like to use in 2019. But first, I couldn't resist seeing what sort of memories I would find on this thing. Although still used by my grandparents, as I said, I've probably only ever touched it a handful of times over the last few years or so to fix a problem or maybe install a printer driver, stuff like that. So, prepare to cringe. So the first thing you have to deal with is the boot up time of the machine itself. Now this can be anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes, especially if you've got a password at the welcome screen. I'm not even joking. From the minute I pressed the button on this thing to the time I got to the enter password screen, that was about 5 minutes. By the time I entered the password and got to the desktop, that was probably about 2 minutes. So a pretty good run at about 7 minutes this time round. But that will differ on this now 10-year-old machine. The first thing I thought I'd do would be to dive in at the deep end, of course, and fire up one of the first videos I found on this machine, which should be a laugh. This particular video is dated back to 2011. It's a 720p video, so that's good. HD all the way. Let's open that up. What? I don't know who that is. This was taken at my old house, it must have been. If you're watching or you're related to this person, I'm sorry, I must have been testing out the camera. Oh dear. Oh, okay. I'm sorry about any noise you might be able to hear. That's the laptop fan. This thing does make quite the racket once it's on. All the time it's a sort of constant, but that's just the way it is in its old age. Moving on to the next subject of interest here, and we have a self-titled apparent CV, curriculum vitae, dating back to 2015. It's going to take a few hours, but we'll get there. Here we go. Unfortunately, we had to upgrade this machine to Windows 10 when Microsoft was sort of forcefully updating all of the PCs out there. This one did not take well to Windows 10. It made it 10 million times slower. It wasn't exactly the snappiest machine under Windows 7 as it was. But yeah, Windows 10 really crippled this thing, which is unfortunate, but the document has finally opened, and oh boy, it's a cringe fest. There's just a little bit about what I did in school there. This bit I like. Hobbies and interests. Sleeping all day. I'm involved with a website writing video game reviews. I also started a gaming channel on YouTube offering people advice and tips, and have since become a partner with over 300,000 views. Wow. Now this part at the top, I'm involved with a website writing video game reviews after I was selected. That is actually true. I used to be a writer for the website known as Game Debate. I think they're still going now. Now on Game Debate, it lets you log into an account and it lets you set up your specs under the My Rig section. You can tell everyone what PC components you have. At the time here, you can see Pentium G3258 overclocked 30%. GeForce GTX 750 Ti Palette StormX OC edition with no overclock. 8 gigs of 1600 MHz DDR3 and a 1920 by 1080 monitor with 1 TB of storage. That was a system I used for a very long while. and boy was it one of my favourite ever combinations, as you probably hear from me all the time. Actually, we'll take a quick look at the blog section, because I'm not sure if there's going to be anything under that. I don't think I wrote many blogs. Oh yes I did. Yes I did. Please. Why? What? Oh hang on, what's this? Why I'm going to buy a PS4 instead of an Xbox One or new PC. Hi everyone, as you all know, that's not a proper introduction, is it? There have been multiple announcements regarding both the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One this week. Huge details, game information and system capabilities have all been amongst things discussed. In this blog I want to share with you the many reasons why I will be buying Sony's soon to be released next gen console instead of a new PC or Xbox One. 1. Price. Here in the UK, the Xbox One will be released at £429. I don't know about you, but I hate parting with £2 when I buy a sandwich. So spending this kind of cash would affect me like a kick in the... I'll let you read that. What a fool. See, this was when Microsoft had said that your Xbox would need to be online all of the time. It would have used game fees or something and a non-upgradable hard drive. So there was a lot of hate towards Xbox as a platform. I also said something about building a PC with £349 is easily done, but you'd have to spend near that on a GPU alone to get top-notch performance, and you still need other components to go. What an absolute fool. You see, this is the sort of thing that probably inspired my whole channel. I thought, I don't want to spend that much on a PC, but I still want to play some games. So in a way I'm thankful that I sort of had this outlook on PC gaming at the time, because it encouraged me to find cheaper alternatives, and that's what allowed me to get the channel going. I ended with a PS here: to those who own a GTX 670 or better, I will always be jealous. I achieved my dream of owning a GTX 670 a couple of years ago, I think. I used one for a review. See, this is why I love this old laptop. It's things like this that bring back so many memories, even stuff that wasn't stored on the PC at the time. If I hadn't gone back and looked at that CV, I would never have found my old Game Debate account, and I would never have read this fantastic bit of journalism that I'm probably going to regret writing for the rest of my life. There may be some profanity in here somewhere, but 2013 I would have been 19, so a bit of teenage attitudes going on here. Oh look, it's my profile picture from Facebook of 2014. Yeah, I was hilarious. But now, of course, we must see how the laptop performs and talk about what it's like to use this pretty much decade-old machine in 2018. Sorry, 2019. Now, it's easy to look back at an old laptop or PC at home and laugh at some of the stuff you might find on it, but truth be told, this was an absolute lifesaver for me. In fact, I even used it back in the early days of my YouTube account to edit a few videos, so that was something I was determined to do today, to see if an E300 based system like this could still handle some light editing. After all, if you guys should come across one of these, I was going to say in the wild, you may want to know if editing is an option. I used to use a program called Sony Vegas Pro, which I found out today runs better than Premiere Pro. Even on this system it opened, it ran fine for a little while. I edited a small portion of this video using it, but it wasn't a pleasant experience, put it that way. There will be a lot of frustration and hair pulling as you sit and wait for the laptop to catch up with itself. Now, for all purpose general usage, internet browsing, things like that, this laptop is fine once it gets going, and by that I mean you have to wait a good half an hour for it to warm up. It's like a car from the 1930s. Honestly though, when you are browsing general everyday web pages, it is fine. It can still handle it pretty well. There may be an odd crash here and there, and the initial problem in this video was the fact that I didn't notice the intermittent, is that the word? The intermittent internet connection didn't help our situation. See, this thing has a habit of disconnecting from the Wi-Fi whenever it feels like it. It's not a signal problem with the router itself, it's just a laptop issue. One of the many, let's say, unique qualities of this now ageing machine. It will struggle with video playback, very much so. 1080p or even 720p YouTube playback isn't really an option, as it can't handle it very well. But as I say, once it gets going, everyday usage, it seems to be okay. Spec-wise, we're working with an AMD E300 APU, which features onboard HD 6310 graphics. Now, one of my first desktop PCs featured an A4 3300 with onboard 6410D graphics, and I have to say that they were a lot more capable than this mobile version of a similar chip. In fact, I only tried out a handful of games here because performance really was that bad. Shadow of the Tomb Raider was an interesting start. I thought maybe with 800 by 600 we might be able to achieve some sort of frame rate. Let's leave it there. But in all actuality, we didn't really get past the first title screen. As you can see, even doing this, the CPU and GPU were maxed out. The CPU is a dual core chip, which is also accompanied by 4 gigs of RAM. 3.6 I believe is usable by the system because 500 megabytes of the system memory is taken as shared memory for the APU's onboard graphics, I think. So just bear that in mind too. Unlike the desktop counterparts though, this really isn't capable anymore, whereas the desktop APUs, even including the A4 3300, which I took a look back at some time ago, can still handle some older titles with the absolute lowest settings, whereas this thing will really struggle. Overall though, I wanted to take a look back at this machine before I restored it and most likely put it back in the drawer, because it isn't always about the specs, it's about the memories that some pieces of hardware can contain forever. As an everyday performer and gaming machine, yeah, it's absolutely rubbish, it really is terrible. But for a backup system that can still handle itself just about, and yeah, maybe it's worth holding on to. Or maybe I am looking at this thing with a bit too much sentimental value, but there we go. This has been a look back at the performance and the contents, which we don't usually do, of an old and much respected family laptop. I hope you've enjoyed this video. It's been something a little bit different. Let me know if you have a system like this that you just will not throw away due to similar reasons. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it, leave a dislike if you didn't. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and hopefully I'll see you all in the next one where we will be putting together another budget system.